The radiation itself.
You say either, and I say either.
We hang the pictures in the gallery of life.
There is no escaping here.
Tommy Boyds.
Cabin doors to automatic. Good morning. Good morning. I'm trying to find a letter which came in today amongst several, which was anonymous. I always go first for the letters which are addressed to the producer and are anonymous. They're my favourite type because they're usually threats. And if you work in the media, it doesn't matter who you are. You can be someone like sort of that Terry Wogan guy. He gets death threats. It's beyond me. My friend, a chap I once met called Steve Cram. You know, he's the runner, the former runner. He'll be a politician one day. He's a television commentator now. He did a football phone-in for some radio station somewhere, and he got 2 death threats. And they're great. They're fantastic because you know you're not going to get killed. But people write and threaten you about all sorts of things. Now, you can say all sorts of provocative things on the radio in order to see what it sounds like and see what happens. And it's that experimentation which an awful lot of people find interesting and some even amusing. But the most recent death threat that I received threatened me because I had the bad manners to be heard drinking my afternoon cup whilst I was broadcasting. Extraordinary business. I wish I could find it and read it to you because, you know, it was the usual death threat. It wasn't actually a death threat. It was just saying how disgusted the listener was that somebody could be heard drinking. The point was I wanted the listener to know that I was having a sip because I felt it suggested that I was as relaxed talking to you as you would be talking to me. It's that kind of a relationship, isn't it? Strange business. What gets some people's goat is really fascinating. But that's not what we're going to talk about this afternoon, manners, because I don't think manners are that important, but it's not what we're talking about this afternoon. Now, this afternoon, I wanted to tell you about something that a chap said to me the other day when I was down in my local open all hours store. I said, you must be ready to go home shortly, and he said, yes. He said, but I'm not finished when I get home. I've got to sort out the pond. So I said, what's the problem there? Then he said, the problem with my pond is that the tortoise fell in it 2 days ago, and we only found it this morning. So now we've got to fence it off so that it can't get in there again. So I said to him, but the tortoise is dead, isn't it? After being at the bottom of the pond for 2 days. And do you know what he said? He said, no. He said, because you can't kill a tortoise. He said it just lay at the bottom of the pond for 2 days and kind of just didn't breathe, didn't hibernate. It hibernated. Free call 0500 1053 89. Well, then a conversation ensued because the lady behind me in the queue said, did we know that tortoises actually have gills and can breathe underwater? Free call 0500 1053 89. Can you kill a tortoise? The conversation then moved on because we remembered that tortoises now cannot leave the country or come into the country. They are afforded special protection somehow. It's enshrined in legislation in this country. I don't understand it entirely because people bring in and out exotic birds and snakes and just about any form of wildlife that can tolerate living in domestic Britain, but apparently tortoises are a case in point. Have you got a tortoise? We had a tortoise, and I know that you can kill a tortoise. I mean, how did your tortoise die? Tortoises are an essential part of British childhood and have been ever since Blue Peter decided, even before they had a dog, that they would show you how to have a tortoise, how to look after a tortoise, how to feed a tortoise, but most of all, and this was really exciting because it was so mysterious, how to put a tortoise away for the winter. And a great big fuss was made of making sure that it was in the right sort of box and that it had the right sort of straw and it had the right sort of air holes and that you got ready to... Do you remember? And then it came out of the wardrobe, you put it in the wardrobe for the winter. And I've been told to take a call ahead of schedule. Mr. Jones is on the line. Mr. Jones, you're on Talk Radio.
Yes, I'm just agreeing with the other caller. You're a disgusting little man just gulping down the phone. It's awful.
Well, I'm only drinking my coffee, pal.
You don't need to do it, though, do you, really?
No, I don't need to do it, but there's no harm in doing it.
You just do it to annoy the people.
I don't do it to annoy people. I do it to show people that I'm relaxed.
No,
What's wrong with that?
It's awful.
What's wrong with that? What sort of an old-fashioned world do you want, then, when where people have to eat and drink in total silence?
We'll do it away from the microphone.
Why?
Because it's revolting.
Why is it revolting, though?
Because it is.
No, but because it is, it's a pathetic argument. And you're a dumb...
We don't need to hear you drinking tea and coffee and all that.
Yes, you do, actually. As a matter of fact, you do, because it's people like you who've made the world what it is today. A place where people are terrified, petrified of...
I don't think so.
Yeah, of their bodies. Of their bodies.
I don't think so.
I think so. What's wrong with this? Why is that any more disgusting than the words that you are issuing? Tell me.
I didn't listen to that. I sort of put the phone away from my ear. I can't listen to it.
Why? What's your problem?
It's disgusting.
You have
annoying.
a problem. Don't you realise that you have a problem with the human body?
Not at all.
No, totally. You also have a problem with your own thought patterns because you can't identify, never mind about articulate, why it's a problem for you. Gone. You see, and people like that have the vote. And people like that are allowed to have children and bring them up to believe that the slight sound of somebody sipping and enjoying their coffee is somehow disgusting. Do you know that in Japan, this noise, when they drink their beautiful leaf tea, twig tea, beautiful Japanese tea, if you ever get a offer of a cup of that, don't pass it up. They all drink their tea making that noise. Why? Because it enhances the flavour, and it shows that they are enjoying it. And there's no greater expression of politeness in Japan than showing that you are enjoying somebody else's hospitality in a restaurant or in somebody else's home. Free call 0500 10 53 89. You know, we are a funny lot, we Brits. We really, really are. It's because of manners. It's because of manners that our economy is slowing down. You look at other countries where people don't queue, where people get what they want without having to say please and thank you. The number of mothers who say to their children, what do you say? And the children come out with a word without understanding the concept whatsoever. They must think we're mad, but we must be obeyed. Our economy is slowing down because of this devotion to this entire irrelevance called manners. Australians are considered bad-mannered. Americans are considered bad-mannered because they push and they shove, but they get what they want, and they live a full life in their 70 years. Women are considered second-class citizens because of the bodily functions which they have, which men don't, which has put them one rung down on the ladder of life. For goodness sake, Mr. Jones, wake up and get some kind of a life. That's all. It just shows that I'm comfortable in your presence. It's a demonstration of our affection for each other. And then you've got Mr. Jones. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Where were we? Oh, yes. What's the best way to kill a tortoise? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. That number again is free call 0500 10 53 89. And Philip calls from London. Philip, you're on Talk Radio. What can you do for us?
Well, it's tea time, isn't it? So why shouldn't you have a good slurp with the whole of the rest of the population? All us guys working hard.
Okay.
It's down tools at 3 o'clock and we're all ready for...
Hey, nice one. Well said.
A lovely slurp. 4 spoons of sugar in that one, and it's nice to hear your slurp as well.
4 sugars.
4 sugars.
4 sugars,
You
fantastic.
need it in the afternoon, just like we need Tommy Boyd as well.
I tell you, it does actually enhance the flavour of the drink.
Oh, yeah?
And why else do you drink if it's not for rehydration, but above all, you know, and good flavour?
Yes, absolutely.
People, when they savour wine, they make that noise, don't they? Marvellous noise. Now, why is it then that some people of a certain age, it has to be said, have a problem with that?
Why? They're just
Why?
stuffy.
Huh?
Stuffy.
Yeah, let me hear it.
They're not working hard enough. You see, if you've been at it all day, you have just got to...
That's it.
Oh, it's great.
It is. And are you like me? Do you leave it until it's gluggable, your tea? Do you know what I'm saying?
In fact, when it's stone cold, it's gorgeous. You always leave the last inch.
Yeah.
And then stone cold, extra sugar at the bottom.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to get back to work.
Although if it's tea, I can't finish off the last quarter of an inch because I go back to when there were tea leaves at the bottom.
Yeah, they all get stuck in the teeth.
And you always got nan.
Yes, yes.
Philip, thank you for your call. Enjoy. How long do you get for a tea break? See, I don't get a tea break, so why shouldn't I slurp whilst I'm on air?
Well, I don't often have a tea break. I'm self-employed, so it's a case of slurp as you work.
Yeah.
So maybe, all day really, for my tea. It starts about 9 o'clock, finishes about 6 o'clock.
Where do you stand on the tortoise thing?
Well, you can stand on them because they've got this hard shell.
No, you can't, because that's how I came to accidentally kill a tortoise when I was a young man.
Never had a tortoise.
I don't...
We have had hamsters. Many stories there for
Don't
another
they?
time.
Don't they die in bizarre ways?
They do.
You don't get no hamsters ever died in his sleep.
They are amazing. Now, they do come from Syria.
Yes.
That tells you something.
Yes.
Colonel Gaddafi.
They're actually...
They are trained.
They're like kamikazes. They're kamikazes of the rodent world, aren't they?
Combat hamsters.
We had one who hanged himself in his cage.
Ours had a steel cage.
Yeah.
He actually ripped 2 bars off their soldered joints, filled his face with food like he had a little coat hanger stuck in his cheeks, and he squashed as flat as a CD, and he managed to get out. And I thought, now there is an amazing creature.
Aren't they good at escaping?
Incredible.
Yeah. Thanks very much for your call, Philip. Free call 0500 10 53 89. It wasn't really the agenda of the day. It was an aside. It was an addendum. It was an appendix to the main issue of the day, which has been delivered to us thanks to a conversation in my open all hours about the tortoise and the possibility that they can live underwater. Trudy calls from Brighton. You're on Talk Radio. Hello, Trudy.
Hiya. You can kill tortoises quite easily, actually.
Can you?
Oh, you can.
How did you do it?
Well, I tried getting it out first.
Getting it out of what?
Well, getting it out of the shell.
Getting the tortoise out of the shell?
Well, yeah, trying to, like, dig it out and, but its head kept disappearing, so I just kept, like, ramming it in a bit further.
Well, what was all this in aid of, dear?
Well, I wanted to know what happened. I was only small. I wanted to know what happened, where the head really went.
Yeah, how old were you?
I don't know, 15.
Oh, no, Trudes, please. We don't want the images. We don't want the images. This is because I've worked with all members of the tortoise family.
Oh, have you?
Some of the bigger ones as well, yes. Dover police have a story to tell about me and me and a 3-foot turtle, which I'll tell it you one day.
All right.
But
it didn't work me doing that.
No.
No, so I threw it.
You didn't.
I did. I threw it, and it just, like, spun about.
We don't want to know
So I just, like,
it.
stamped on it.
You didn't.
I did. I'm not proud of myself. I just,
You know you didn't.
I did. I just wanted to get it out.
This is a cathartic moment for you, isn't it? Because you're actually apologising to yourself and God for what you did.
Well, I don't know about that.
What was your tortoise?
It never moved afterwards,
Well, no. What was your tortoise called?
Autumn.
Thank you very much for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I was on holiday, and the chap in the next chalet was cooking something, and I went in to say hi. He was a Canadian man. He wasn't very clever. He was only about 24. He wasn't very clever at all. I said, what are you up to? He said, I found a beautiful shell on the beach, but it has this thing in it, and I can't get it out. So I thought if I boiled it, it'd come out by itself. It was a hermit crab. And I didn't want to cause a furore, and I thought, well, the crab's probably dead anyway. But, the thick things, the thick people, when it comes to animals, what people don't know about animals is unbelievable. A woman once tried to buy a flat off me. She was about 75, very well-to-do. She left the taxi running, black cab, meter, outside. And I was on the 4th floor. And she looked over the balcony and she said, it's a very pretty garden you have here. I said, yes, and sometimes in the night you get badgers. And you know what she said? She said, badgers? She said, do they ever climb up the drain pipe? It's unbelievable what people go through their lives not knowing, isn't it? Free call 0500 10 53 89. So can you kill it? I mean, can you drown a tortoise? Or can they breathe underwater? Do they have gills? Some people think humans have got gills. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. Oh, I don't know. Haven't started really today. Charlie calls now from Glasgow. Charlie, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Charlie.
Listen, I mean, is this really the best you've got? I mean, you must have been up all night thinking about this one, eh? How to kill tortoises. Yeah? I mean, is that about it? Is that the limit?
Well, do you think it's possible they could live underwater?
Well, who cares? Yeah, I mean, where's the argument there for a start?
Well, I'd like to know.
I mean, you're talking about how to kill a tortoise. I mean, who cares? Take a hammer to it, chop its head off with a cleaver, light it on a fire.
Well,
I mean, is this the best subjects we're going to get, Bill?
Well, you saw that episode of One Foot in the Grave, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Well, that's what happened in that.
But he did all three of those things.
And the other thing is, you know the Mutant Ninja Hero Turtles?
Yeah.
Well, they're not turtles, are they? They're tortoises.
I don't really know. It's not really the sort of thing I would pay any attention to at all, you know?
And why is it that only tortoises can't come into this country now? You can bring in budgies, hamsters, snakes, monkeys, you know, but not tortoises. Now, why is that?
Where's the argument here?
What, you want an argument?
Yeah.
What do you want an argument about then? Which football team do you support?
St Mirren.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Because I'm from Paisley.
Well, why do you bother with Scottish football? I mean, it's dross, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, why do you bother with it then?
Because I'm Scottish.
But you're not very good at arguing either, so you have to go now.
I'm better than you.
I'm better than you. Come on, Charlie. Come on, Charlie. Give us an argument. Come on, Charlie. Come on, Charlie, mate. Come on, little Charlie. Right, proper Charlie. Come on then, Charlie. Have an argument with Tom.
Right,
Come on then, Charlie. Go on then,
let's have an argument.
Pick an argument with Charlie. Come on then, Tom. Come on, have a go. Go on.
Yeah?
String a couple of words together.
You're good at arguing, Tommy. I mean, like that thing yesterday you were doing about the meaning of life. I mean, basically you said, I've got the meaning of life.
Yep.
Anytime anybody tried to argue about it, it was, I don't really think you've got it right. You know, I mean, that was the argument, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Pointless. Just pointless radio.
What do you listen for
You
then?
paid for this.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's...
Much more than you.
How do you know that?
What do you do?
I'm a rocket scientist.
You're a liar.
No, I'm not.
All right, what fuel do you use then, Charlie?
Diesel and 4-star.
You're a dull man. If I was in the pub with you now, I'd be going to the toilet and climbing out the window.
I'm dull when you get the cheek to talk when you're talking about hams.
What on earth made you think you had anything to offer my show?
Huh?
How dare you? What arrogance?
Talking about tortoises,
Absolute arrogance of some Glaswegians to think that whatever it is that's running through their mind deserves to go down and out their mouth. I ask you, Charlie.
Right, I've got an argument for you.
You're a waste of space and a waste of food.
Crank calls.
Yeah. It's all right for you listening. I have to talk to people like that. We can do better than Charlie, can't we? Oh, right. Adrienne calls from Deptford. Adrienne, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon.
Hello.
It's about my tortoise.
Oh, yes.
I think possibly they could survive underwater because our tortoise, when we got him, my son said, you mustn't put him in a box in the shed. That's the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
Let him dig down underground, which made a lot of sense because when it's really cold, he goes deeper. When it gets warmer, he can come up and down on his own.
Why on earth did you decide to get a tortoise?
Oh, well, someone gave him to my son.
Why?
Because they were old and they were frightened that their wife might trip over him.
So this old couple, concerned that the woman...
Well, she'd had a hip replacement and he was always...
Right. This is fascinating. Okay, this is very interesting. Yes, I like it. Okay, so here's the picture. Elderly couple, she has a new hip. Therefore, the tortoise must go.
Well, our tortoise is quite fast. It's not slow.
This tortoise, right, was in danger of leaping out and bringing the woman down.
Well, he does. He bites your feet, you see. He chases you.
He moves at some rate.
When it's sunny.
And she couldn't because she'd had her hip done.
Yeah, and a walking stick.
So, she's new hip, walking stick, obviously a bit wobbly.
Yeah.
Daren't risk having a tortoise in the house.
In the garden, yeah.
In the garden?
Yeah.
Right. Couldn't see the tortoise coming.
Well, he's very fast.
He's that quick?
He's that quick. When it's sunny, he's really quick.
Right, let's get it clear. Elderly, how old?
Oh, perhaps late 70s.
Late 70s. She has new hip, stick, in garden, daren't risk tortoise. Too risky. Give to nearby child.
Well, no, he's 28.
Give to 28-year-old man?
Yes. He lives next door to me, and I like tortoises. I've always wanted one.
Is this about par for Deptford?
Pardon?
Nothing.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. It's just that he is a zoologist, you see, and he likes animals, and people always bring their animals around to him.
What else has he got, then?
Lizards, mainly. But over the years, he's had loads of things. Tarantulas, snakes, everything.
Is he married?
Yeah, well, he lives with his girlfriend.
I was going to say. Sounds a bit sort of Paul Daniels-ish to me, you know.
Well, anyway, this tortoise, he said...
Only child.
No, he's not the only child.
Plenty of time in the bedroom by himself, you know.
Anyway.
Right, so, anyway, your son, zoologist, lives with girlfriend, took in tortoise.
Well, gave the tortoise to me because he's got a hole in his back fence and the tortoise would get out of that, you see.
Right, OK, so this tortoise is now with its third owner.
Yeah, well, he digs under the fence. He has got out a couple of times and crossed a couple of main roads, but that's a different story.
Is the tortoise of any value to your life at all?
Well, my husband said he's a nuisance because he just keeps biting our feet when
They
you
are a
sit out in the
nuisance.
garden.
They're nothing but a nuisance, tortoise, and they're very stupid animals, of course. And there's nothing you can do with a tortoise. You can't stroke them, you can't play with them, they have no personality. They are a complete waste of time. You might just as well get a house brick and leave it around the place and go, oh, look.
Yeah, he doesn't do an awful lot, but he is just quite fast. I mean, if there were races, I'm sure he'd win. You know, I mean, he's really fast, this tortoise. He can chase you up and down the garden, only if it's sunny.
The only saving grace of tortoise is that the way in which you pronounce it does show what class you are.
Well, yeah, I don't say tortoise.
Middle-class people like to say tortoise, which is bizarre, isn't it?
But when kids come round our house, they'll go, look at that turtle, because they haven't seen a tortoise.
I know, it's interesting, isn't it?
So,
I know.
Anyway, so he's hibernated last year, gone underground.
How do you know it's a he?
Well, because my granddaughter called him Tommy.
Yeah, well.
All tortoises are called Tommy, aren't they, really?
Well, but, I mean, how do you sex a tortoise?
Well, I don't really know. I think it's his tail. I think he is a he. He's got quite a long, narrow tail.
Well, they don't use their tail, as far as we know, for any... You sure it's a tail?
Pardon?
It is a tail.
Yeah.
You don't know it's a tail, do you?
It's quite rudder-like. That's what makes me think he might be able to survive in water.
Have you ever seen it do a wee?
He does them all over the place. It's just like a bird dropping, huge bird dropping.
That's number 2.
Well, they come out together, you see.
Oh, we don't want it, really?
Anyway.
The other thing I remember hearing about them, a rumour that I was one night at a party and I was talking to a girl in the kitchen and it turned out that she was an artificial inseminator.
Of tortoises?
No, cows.
Oh, right.
And sheep. I don't think anybody does it to tortoises.
No, well, I wouldn't know where to start, to be quite honest.
No. Anyway, she was fascinating, and lots of people talked to her about how she did went about her work and that kind of thing.
Right.
And then the conversation gradually came round to tortoises and how they reproduce, obviously. Because you do wonder, don't you?
Well, yeah.
But nobody's ever seen it happen.
Well, I don't think they reproduce in this country. That's why they're quite rare now. And
Adriana, it's been a delight talking to you.
Well, I haven't told you how he nearly died.
We better had.
Right. He hibernated last year. He went underground. Bonfire night, we had a bonfire, so the grandchildren. He must have thought spring had arrived early because the ground got very warm. And we just happened to see him, you know, sort of come out with mounds of earth on him and run towards the bonfire. So perhaps there is something to be said about putting him in a box in the shed.
Adrian, lovely to talk to you. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Jill is on the line from Weybridge. Jill, welcome to Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello there, wind-up merchant. Absolutely wonderful to hear. Now,
I get a lot of this, and
I love it.
I
think you're wonderful.
Take offence.
Well, don't, because it's not offensive. You've had me cracking up here.
I don't think people realise that you could not possibly come to the radio, and the British broadcasting tradition is to speak from the heart. But let's not go into that.
Right, I've got 2 things now because I've been thrown, right? So you'll have to bear with me. My first thing was about where do you draw the line with offence in, you know, with your slurping, right? Well, you know, you were saying was it China or wherever? Because I lost the plot now. This is some time ago where it
Japan.
was... Japan. And what did you say?
They slurp their tea
and it's...
de rigueur.
Yeah, right, okay. Well, then, in your Eastern cultures, right, after you've had a meal, you belch, don't you? But we wouldn't do it here, would we?
I've heard that, but I've never heard it. Do you know what I mean?
I have. No, I have, right?
Where?
So that's one of my points, is what is, you know, do as in Rome, that thing, right?
As in Rome, that thing, right?
You know, I'm not with it. I'm ready to dash off to work. And guess where I'm going to?
Where do you work?
A veterinary place. And I'm sort of like, oh, no, I don't know anything about these tortoises.
Can I ask you something?
Weybridge.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
You know when people take the cat to be put to sleep?
Yeah, don't. Upsets me, it breaks my heart. Yeah, go on.
Well, you do it. You kill him.
I don't.
Well, he does.
Yeah, he does.
How does he do it? I've always wondered how they put your dog to sleep.
Well, you know that brick thing?
Don't.
No.
Don't. When I was little, I thought
But you know when we haven't got a brick, you know what they use?
Don't!
A tortoise.
No, I'm serious. Is it a pill or is it a lethal injection?
The injection.
What is it?
And it's really, really kind.
Yeah, but what is it?
What? It's I don't know.
Window cleaner.
Yeah.
No, it can't be. That was in The Man with Two Brains.
Listen, you know the...
I don't mind.
You know the jigsaw puzzle thing?
What?
You know the tortoise that you're on about? You said you may as well have a brick in the garden.
Yeah.
Did you not read an article in the paper, in the Mail, a few weeks ago about some child that stood on a tortoise, yeah? And this veterinary guy pieced all the pieces of the tortoise together. Have them as a jigsaw puzzle.
Have a nice day at work.
And don't keep...
Free call 0500 1050. What this programme needs is a few experts. Dave calls from Bournemouth. You're on Talk Radio. Dave, good afternoon.
Hi there, Tommy.
Dave.
You want to know how to kill a tortoise? I know many ways, but I don't recommend any of them. I run a Chelonia hotline for people who've got turtles that need rescuing or tortoises that have got problems. And
You're an expert, aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't call myself an expert.
Well, you use the proper Latin family name.
Yeah, I don't think there's such a thing as an expert. There's still a lot to be learned about all the wildlife in the world.
All experts say that they're not really experts, you know. It's one thing I've learned in the last 25 years in broadcasting. No. I'm quite happy to admit that I am an expert. Perhaps that's how I might be disqualified. But what you're saying is that tortoises do die.
Yeah, there's many ways. Feed them on lettuce all their lives. That'll kill them pretty quick.
I'm glad you asked that, because apparently you're supposed to feed them on dog food.
Yeah, anything with a bit more nutrients.
This is the latest thing.
Slugs, snails, worms.
They're carnivores, are they?
Well, they're like a bit of everything. I mean, you can't solely feed them on meat.
Okay.
Too much protein. So
then let me ask you this question. If they are carnivores, right, in the wild, how do they hunt?
Well, they don't. I mean, like if there's a slug on a leaf or something, or an insect nearby or whatever, it will just get consumed with the vegetation. But they have such a varied diet in the wild, and people buy them and they think, oh, lettuce. But lettuce is like the comparative to giving a human heroin.
I have a caller on line 23 who would like to have a word with you, Dave, since you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
It's Aaron, who is calling from Surrey. Aaron, you're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Boyd.
I believe that the question that you have to ask might be best answered by Dave, but what is it that's on your mind?
Well, you seem to have this thing that tortoises have got no use, yeah? Like, it's like having a brick.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon can't you eat them?
Dave.
Yes, they're eaten in most places all over the world, apart
they are.
In the westernised cultures.
They are a real delicacy. In fact, staple diet in some of the Pacific countries, I believe.
Yeah,
Dave. Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
And a lot of the islands, South Pacific islands and African countries, turtle meat, saltwater turtles, is the only form of protein they actually get. There's no actual cattle to feed upon.
It's standard diet, Aaron, elsewhere, a bit like, lamb in this country, say.
But have you never eaten them yourself, then?
Dave?
I've seen them being chopped up ready for eating, but in an African country, but I wouldn't eat them myself, obviously, because I've got moral grounds on that side of things.
What sort of morals is that, then? It's food, isn't it?
Well,
food source. It's meat.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's no. Why should I eat it? I mean, it's just for me to come back and say, oh, I've eaten tortoise or I've eaten turtle.
Yeah, but it's meat,
showing off, isn't it? Well, there's no point in it. It's completely brain dead.
Think of all these people that have got tortoises, right? And then you've got all these tortoises, and you've got all these people that haven't got no money to eat. Why don't we just eat the tortoises?
Well, the tortoises are endangered, for a start.
Only tortoises, isn't they?
Yeah, but they're endangered. If we keep eating them, there'll be none left.
They don't do nothing. We can't walk them, can you? Unless you've got about 3 years to spare.
Yeah, but they're part of the natural chain of everything, aren't they? They fit in their place.
No, they eat tortoises, don't they? You eat them. You eat lamb, don't you?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, we breed them to eat them.
You eat pig, don't you?
If we were breeding the tortoises to eat them, that's a different case.
You eat cows, don't you?
But
you eat cows, don't you?
The other problem is...
It is an interesting one, Dave. I must say, I think Aaron's touched on a nerve here. Well, although you're comfortable about eating meat, there are certain animals that you won't eat, such as tortoises.
Yeah, but
pigeon, you eat pigeon, didn't you?
If you were breeding them to eat them, then that's a different case.
I see.
They're an endangered species. You can't just keep eating them if nothing's being done to procreate the species. Because eventually they'll end up being extinct.
All I'm thinking is basically they're a useless animal. We might as well feed people on them, aren't we? So just looking at them in the garden.
Well, I mean, particularly the ones we import into this country, the Herman's tortoise and the Spurside, they're both two quite endangered species now. I mean, that's
they're quite big. They get quite big. They could feed a family, couldn't they? Instead of having a joint on a Sunday.
Well, I don't know about that.
Have a tortoise, can you?
In your experience, Dave, are people who have tortoises usually a bit slow themselves?
I've seen some pretty backward people keeping them, yeah.
Do you know, have you ever come across anybody who's quite bright?
Yeah.
Who had a tortoise?
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
Really?
I mean, they come from
Can you profile an intelligent person who kept a tortoise?
Profile one?
Yes, without actually giving a name away, because they'd be flattered.
Well, I know a professor who keeps them.
A professor of what?
I'm not exactly sure what he's a professor of. But he's got...
so what would his motive be then? If he's an intelligent professor, why would he want a tortoise?
Well, he's got about 50 different species of...
so it's a vanity of his, a little menagerie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just his life, really.
But
I reckon he eats them.
Shut up, Aaron. I'm trying to get somewhere here. Right, so a professor you know keeps tortoises amongst others in his menagerie, which presumably people comment on and say what a wacky Doctor Who-like chap he is.
Yeah.
What other motive might an intelligent person have for wanting a tortoise?
It's a difficult one. I mean, I've got my interest because I got a turtle when I was sort of about 10 years old.
Yes.
I was told it was a water tortoise, but in actual fact it's a turtle.
Can tortoises live underwater?
No, not really. I mean, an actual turtle, a marine turtle, can drown.
The man in my shop said that his tortoise had lain at the bottom of his pond for 2 days.
Well, the reason for that is because their metabolism is so slow, you see, and at this time of year, particularly if it's getting a bit cold, I mean, or the English summer and whatever, they can really slow their metabolism down.
But this is fascinating. We should know about this, because this would be an anti-drowning technique.
Right, yeah, I mean, they're doing research on crocodile's blood at the moment because of the slow metabolism for people who suffer with strokes, because of the hemoglobin in the way that crocodiles can store the hemoglobin in the blood.
So although you shouldn't try it at home, your tortoise could live for up to 48 hours or longer underwater by slowing its metabolism down.
Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it. Don't anybody put their tortoise in a pond. The other thing is, you cannot kill a tortoise by chopping its head off.
We know you wouldn't recommend it. How would anybody in their right minds recommend it?
Well, somebody might be listening to the radio and they might go away and say, well, let's see if Tommy can swim, and bung him in the bottom of the pond. It's the last thing we want, isn't it?
If he drowns, we could eat him.
Shut up, Aaron.
Like I was saying, a lot of people think you could kill a tortoise by chopping its head off, but this is an incredibly cruel way to do it, because with their slow metabolism, the head will actually stay alive for up to an hour after it's being decapitated.
This is another fascinating thing. Hey, Aaron! Aaron!
Yes?
Aren't they fascinating tortoises? Did you know that, what the expert just told us?
Yeah, you could just eat them though, couldn't you, be done with it,
Will you shut up? You can... Dave, let's go back to that one just for a brief second.
Oh, yeah, if I'm upsetting your viewers by saying yes, eat all the tortoises, then I do apologise, but I still think you should eat them.
Dave?
Yeah?
Aaron, shut up. Dave?
Yeah?
A tortoise can live for up to an hour after it's been decapitated.
Yeah, it's the same with all reptiles. You've travelled quite a bit, haven't you, Tommy?
Well, but did you say the head could live, or that the tortoise is...
The head will carry on living. I mean, have you heard of rattlesnake roundup?
No.
It's something that happens in Texas every year, where basically all the people go out and collect all the rattlesnakes they can find. Then they have a big festival for a couple of days where they see how many different ways they can whip the heads off the snakes and kill the snakes. Then they will make cowboy boots and goodness knows what else out of these skins. Now, these heads, once they come off of the snake, they can live up to an hour afterwards. You can actually be bitten by a rattlesnake's head, which has been decapitated, and it can still kill you. It's because the metabolism is incredibly slow, and it takes so long for the blood to get around the brain and whatever, that these are still conscious for, up to a period of about an hour at the maximum.
Dave and Aaron, thank you both very much indeed for your input. Free call 0500 1053 89. Fantastic. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There is a good argument for listening. Not a lot. It's a quiet Thursday, but the man in my open all hours told me that he was having to put a fence around his pond because his tortoise fell in it and laid at the bottom of the pond for 2 days. It's all right, though. That's why he's got to put a fence around it, because he doesn't want it to happen again. But apparently the tortoise survived the ordeal, and one or two people with tortoises and who know a bit about tortoises have been confirming that all they do is just kind of shut down. Free call 0500 1053 89. Mary calls from Ipswich. Mary.
Okay. Hello, Tommy.
Mary, welcome to Talk Radio.
Hello. I agree with Mr. Jones. I think you slurp your tea on purpose to annoy the listeners.
No.
Yes, you do. You do it in an exaggerated manner to annoy the listeners.
No.
Yes, you do.
No, I
I
don't.
know you. I can see through you, Tommy.
No, that isn't true. I want to bring Iris into the conversation because apparently Iris has
Hello.
views on the same matter. Iris,
Hello, Tommy.
You're with Mary in Ipswich, Iris in Wiltshire. Welcome. Hello.
Hello. I
Hello,
totally
Iris.
agree, actually, Mary.
Yes, it's dreadful,
disgusting.
isn't it? He's an arrogant little fool, isn't he?
He definitely is.
Yes.
And not just him, Mary. There's James Well in the evenings.
Oh,
he
he's
actually
there. Oh, I
fish and
showed-
chips on the air.
Oh, does he? I've only listened to him a few times.
Well, I wouldn't bother if I was you. It's disgusting. I mean, if they can't do a radio show without having to eat and drink on it, there's something wrong with them.
Yes,
It's not exactly a
dreadful.
day
They
job
do it on
do. They don't do
purpose.
9 till 5.
Yeah.
It's only a 2-hour job they're
Yeah.
doing. And James Well does 5. And there is disgusting eating fish. He's in the middle of a conversation with somebody and starts eating chocolate, James Well does.
Uh-huh.
I mean, why do they have to do that?
I take real offence to this exaggerated
Well,
slurping
it's
out.
actually the height of ignorance, Mary,
Yes,
as a
it
matter
is.
of fact.
Yeah, he does it on purpose.
And he's eating something now. I
Yes,
think it's
probably some cheese and onion crisp or something.
Yeah, well,
It's
actually,
horrible.
I don't know whether he does or it's just a sound effect that
Yes.
he's doing just to annoy us.
He
So come on,
loves
Tommy.
it. He loves it, doesn't he?
No, I
Manners.
don't think he loves us. I
No,
think-
he loves it. He loves
Yeah.
doing it.
Come on then, Tommy. Give us what you think that you should be doing on the radio.
I'm just being a normal human being.
No, you're not
being a
actually,
lowlife.
because you have your dinner at certain times and it should be before you get on air
Says
or
who?
after you go.
Where does it say that?
You're being a lowlife.
What? I'm being a lowlife.
Yes, you're
certainly
being a
are.
lowlife.
I'm being a lowlife.
Yes.
I'm being riffraff,
Well,
am
you
I?
are a lowlife.
It's ignorant. If
Yes.
children are listening to this programme,
Yes.
what
Oh.
manners are you teaching them?
It's like whenever you see something on television and somebody does something, a sporting thing, and somebody does something fairly good, the commentator always says lamely, and that is a perfect example for all youngsters watching of exactly how to lay up in front of the pin. You know, and it's the same thing with you lot. You haven't got an argument.
No,
You haven't got an argument.
You listen,
You haven't got an
Tommy.
argument. So
Just
you say
listen.
it's setting a bad example for
is,
children.
and
Now
it's
you just
disgusting.
if you can well wait a minute. What's disgusting?
It's disgusting. Who wants to listen to you eating your lunch or you're drinking your drink? You're on here to have a conversation
What
with
is the
somebody.
difference?
You're not even talking about food for a start.
Will you shut it and listen for a second?
No, I
We'll have a
won't.
conversation because all this nonsense that you're coming out with, I've heard 1,000 million times in my life. And no poor child has managed to get through 20 minutes of any existence without somebody pottering up behind him, slapping him around the back of the head and telling him he's disgusting. Now you listen for a second.
No, I
you
don't
listen.
go around slapping
You
people at the back of the head. I never did my child, and I never would do it to anybody else's.
Listen to me, madam. Thank you.
Listen to his defence.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. There's nothing disgusting about anything that the human body can do.
Oh, what, on radio then?
Yes.
Oh,
I think
Anywhere.
talking a load of
Anywhere.
tosh and you know it.
Anywhere.
What he does, there's a reason
Yes.
behind it.
My
what he
body,
does.
my body wants liquid, and so
Then
I'm
have
going
it
to.
at the right time before you get on
Or
the air
off air
or when
and
you
listen
leave.
to
You're
James
only there for
Bates.
2 hours.
You're not allowed to drink while you're talking to me. Why not?
Because it
Don't you
sounds-
have the vicar around for
Listen
tea?
to yourself.
It
Get off
just
the radio
sounds
and listen to
disgusting,
yourself.
Tommy.
Why is it disgusting,
It
babes?
just sounds disgusting.
Why is it disgusting, babes?
Well, that's my opinion.
Yes, I know, but your signature will be that of a very stupid person if you can't explain your opinion.
Well, that is just my opinion. I can't
Then you're
explain
just
it.
signed
it's
off.
just the way I'm made, isn't it?
Oh, for God's sake, woman!
You
Have
know,
you got the vote? Were you allowed
I
to have
am as
children?
I am.
Look, listen
It's disgusting. Why?
listen to me,
Because
Tommy.
it is.
Tommy,
Which one's this?
this is Iris,
Is
right?
it? What do you
Now,
make of Mary? I mean, she's not very bright,
when
is she?
I listen to talk
God's
radio,
sake.
I listen to Peter Dealey, I listen to James Well, I listen to you, I listen to most people, and I've never ever heard Peter Dealey eating on the radio. It's a news programme, it's interesting. Who wants to listen to somebody eating their dinner or what have you? You do it just to exaggerate the fact that you're doing it.
No, I'm making a point here. I'm
What
making a
point is
point.
that then?
The point is this, that some people say it's disgusting, like you, but they don't know why.
I do know why it's why, because you're ignorant.
No, but that isn't an argument.
Of course it is. Don't be ridiculous.
Ignorant of what? Ignorant
You're
implies that's
ignorant
something
of
I
any
don't
manners.
know.
Would you like your children, doing that in front of people while they're having a conversation, spitting it all over the place?
Who's spitting anything?
You probably are. I wouldn't like to see your
Probably.
microphone when you're
Do you know
finished.
what prejudice literally means?
Pardon?
Do you know what prejudice literally
I haven't
means?
got a clue.
Prejudice. Do you know what prejudice is?
Yeah, I'm prejudiced then, am I, against
Yes.
you? Because you're eating and drinking on the radio. Tell
No,
that to James Well as well. I think he's absolutely disgusting.
Because you are assuming that somebody is guilty of something.
Of course they are. If they're eating. Look, if
hoping,
on your contract then that you should eat and drink on the radio.
Hoping desperately that somebody is guilty of something.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Yes.
It's not that, Tommy. It's the reason behind it. You do it on purpose to annoy, like just a wind-up thing, as usual, you know.
You're doing it deliberately now. It's ridiculous.
What does it tell you about yourself? What does it tell you about yourselves that it annoys you?
Pardon?
What does it tell you about your lives that it annoys you?
It doesn't tell me anything about my lives, otherwise you wouldn't be on here.
It doesn't tell me anything. I just think you should do it off air.
Paul would like a word with you.
Oh, I suppose he's going to burp on the conversation.
Can I just say something to you, Tommy? If I'm stupid, you must be equally stupid because I love your show. Therefore, we're both stupid.
Dashing argument there, Mary.
Yes.
Paul, come in on the conversation from Brighton. You're on Talk Radio. Hello.
Hello there, yeah. What's wrong with those two? Is there something seriously wrong with them?
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me.
There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me, Paul.
Well, all I can
You know what
say
it is?
I'll do it in front of my kids. What, have you never been in a
there's
cafe or
something wrong with
something?
me. Do you know what it is?
Have you never been in a cafe or
What's
nothing?
that got to do with the radio?
Well, why, if you do it in public there, why not do it on the radio? What's the difference?
It's because it's a show. You're supposed to have a little bit. Oh, I don't know what the word is. I can't think of the word.
Paul?
You know, what's the use of being on the radio and having a radio show where you're, unless it's to do with eat and drink, and that anything that somebody does on the radio that sounds like they're eating and drinking, it's rude. It's actually rude to do it.
What,
It's
you just got to
ignorant.
sit there being thirsty? What?
What's your name,
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Tommy's only on here for 2
What's
hours.
your
What's he going to
name?
die? He
No,
doesn't have a
not very
drink.
nice, but I can't drink without
What's
2
your
hours.
name, sir?
Sorry?
What is your name?
Paul.
Yes, you asked initially, is there anything wrong with you? There is.
What, wrong with me?
No, with us.
What's wrong with
There's
it?
something wrong with me.
What's that?
I have manic depression. Perhaps that explains it.
No, I haven't got manic depression,
I have.
Mary. I haven't got anything. No depression
I have.
whatsoever.
Nobody is saying that it's a sign of
What's that
manic.
got to do with
Nobody
it?
is saying that it's a sign of manic depression, ladies. That you don't like hearing
No, I'm just saying I have got it, seriously.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with the conversation, Mary.
No,
surely.
it's just like, no, that chap Paul said, is there anything wrong with you
There's
two?
something wrong with you.
Well, there's
There's
something
moan about
wrong
it,
with
hasn't
me.
Oh, it's ridiculous. You're talking. It's a ridiculous conversation.
Why are you moaning about Tommy doing that then?
Because it doesn't sound very nice.
You've
If you're
never
having a
done it before.
conversation, it's very rude to do something. I mean, if I was on the on the phone to somebody and somebody started eating their dinner, I'd put the phone down.
Now, look, just be
and say,
quiet,
well,
you three,
I'll
for a
call
second,
back
if
when
you
you
would.
finish.
Mary,
You've never done
Iris, and Paul, just be quiet for a second, if you would be so very kind. Because just as Harold Pinter would have done if this was his play, I'm going to bring Simon into the conversation.
Not Simon from Hampshire.
No, this is Simon from Cambridgeshire. Simon, you're on Talk Radio. Good afternoon.
Tommy, hi, good afternoon. Not Simon from Hampshire, Simon from Cambridgeshire. Tommy, great programme. I can't work out what the other people are actually talking about. Find it a bit unfair you're actually picking on people that can't compete with you, though. Why do you always seem to actually get
compete
people...
with him if you don't mind, Simon? I'll compete with you.
Go ahead. Score points. To be honest, I don't really care about turtles or tortoises. Tortoises?
I do. I care about tortoises, and that was my second subject. But he's brought so many people on in this conversation, we haven't had a chance to talk about
We're
them.
having a great time.
Oh. I find it quite sad. Right,
No,
the
we're having a great time.
The tortoise argument could be finished in about 30 seconds flat. You just put them in a microwave, solve the problem,
Oh,
full
don't
stop.
talk rubbish. You really are a horrible person,
Why?
Simon.
Why?
They're an endangered species, tortoise. People actually steal them in this country.
No,
do you
but
know that?
You really don't seem to understand. This has nothing to do with tortoises.
Oh, really? What's it got to do with then?
It's actually got to do with Tommy, who's a great guy, great show.
Well, I'm just going to let them, there, sitting quietly in the sunshine, as they used to say at the end of the Flower Pot Men. Free call 0500 10 53 89, as we necessarily move the agenda of this news and current affairs debate forum on in the next hour of the programme. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There is a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.